The morning started like any other Tuesday in Seoul. Lee Minji arrived at Sunshine Elementary School at 7:30, carrying her colorful teaching bag and humming a children's song. She unlocked her kindergarten classroom and began setting. Up for another day with her 23 energetic 5-year-olds, Minji loved her job. She had been teaching kindergarten for 15 years and still felt excited every morning. Today, she planned to teach about sharing and help the children practice writing their names. Little did she know that across the galaxy, powerful alien beings were discussing her profession with great fear. At exactly 9:15, as Minji was helping Kim Hansel tie his shoelaces, every screen in the building suddenly turned on. The children looked up in wonder as an alien face appeared on the classroom television. The creature had blue, crystal-like skin and 6 glowing eyes arranged in 2 rows. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect Korean, though his voice sounded like grinding metal. "I am Ambassador Thextar of the Vorthon Empire, speaking for the Galactic Alliance of 12 species." Minji quickly gathered her students into a circle on the reading carpet. She kept her voice calm and cheerful, even though her heart was beating fast. "Children, let's sit nicely and listen to our visitor," the alien continued speaking. "Your planet has been under observation for 50 Earth years. We have studied your species carefully. We have learned about your governments, your armies, and your weapons. But we have discovered something much more dangerous." In the United Earth Council building in Geneva, Admiral Park Ji-won was watching the same broadcast with growing confusion. He sat next to President Kim Tae-hyung and dozens of other world leaders. They had expected this day might come, but not like this. "Your species has created the most terrifying weapon we have ever encountered," Ambassador Thextar announced. "You have weaponized the care and education of your young. You call them kindergarten teachers, but we know what they really are." Admiral Park leaned forward in his chair. "What is he talking about? Our teachers are weapons." The alien's 6 eyes seemed to look directly through the screen. "These beings you call teachers possess abilities that our greatest warriors cannot understand. They can control dozens of chaotic young minds with just their voice. They can create order from complete madness. They can inspire loyalty without using fear or pain." Back in the classroom, little Park Sumi raised her hand. "Teacher Lee, why does the spaceman look angry?" Minji smiled gently. "Sometimes people get upset when they don't understand something, Sumi. Let's keep listening." Ambassador Thextar's voice grew louder and more threatening. "We have documented your teacher Yoon Seung-ho in the city of Busan. He stopped 12 children from fighting using only words and a facial expression. Our war experts studied this video for months. They could not explain how he commanded such immediate obedience without weapons or threats." The alien pulled up a holographic display that showed a playground scene. Children could be seen running around wildly, then suddenly sitting quietly in a circle as a smiling man approached them. "We observed Teacher Bae Sumin convince 30 rebellious children to clean an entire room in 8 minutes. She used only enthusiasm and a song. Our military specialists tried to recreate this with trained soldiers. They failed completely." President Kim Tae-hyung whispered to his advisors, "Are they really declaring war because they're afraid of our teachers?" Ambassador Thextar confirmed their worst fears. "The Galactic Alliance has decided that humanity represents a threat to all civilized species. Your kindergarten teachers are too dangerous to be allowed to continue their work. We demand that you immediately shut down all educational programs for children under 10 years old." Dr. Choi Nayeon, Earth's top expert on alien psychology, was frantically taking notes. She had spent years preparing for first contact, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. "If you refuse our demands," the alien continued, "the Galactic Alliance will have no choice but to remove the threat by force. We have assembled the largest military fleet in galactic history. 1,000 warships from 12 different species are positioned at the edge of your solar system. The screen showed massive spacecraft, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. Weapons that could destroy entire planets pointed toward the small blue world. "You have 72 Earth hours to respond," Ambassador Thextar declared. "Surrender your kindergarten teachers or face total destruction. The choice is yours." The transmission ended, leaving the world in stunned silence. In her classroom, Minji looked at 23 worried little faces. Kim Hansel spoke first. "Teacher Lee, are the space aliens really mad at us?" Minji straightened her flower-patterned apron and gave them her most reassuring smile. "Well, Hansel, it sounds like they need to learn some manners. What do we do when someone is being rude?" "We use our nice words," called out Lee Gina. "We ask them to please stop," added Choi Minho. "And we try to understand why they're upset," finished Park Sumi. Minji nodded proudly. "That's exactly right. Sometimes when people are scared or confused, they act mean. Maybe these space visitors are just scared because they don't understand how we do things here on Earth." Meanwhile, in the government building, chaos had broken out. Military officials were shouting orders, diplomats were making urgent phone calls, and scientists were trying to calculate if Earth's defenses could possibly stand against 1,000 alien warships. Admiral Park stood up slowly. "So let me understand this correctly. They've been watching us for 50 years, studying our military and our weapons, and the thing that scares them most is kindergarten teachers?" Dr. Choi nodded, still staring at her notes. "It appears that, from their perspective, our teachers have abilities that seem impossible. They can manage large groups without violence, inspire cooperation without force, and shape developing minds through methods their warrior cultures cannot comprehend." President Kim rubbed his temples. "This is insane. They want us to give up, our teachers, or they'll destroy the planet." "Not just any teachers," Dr. Choi corrected. "Specifically kindergarten teachers. They seem to view early childhood education as some form of military training program." Back in Seoul, Minji was helping her students with their afternoon snack when her principal, Mr. Lim Kyung-ho, appeared in the doorway. His face was pale and worried. "Teacher Lee, could I speak with you for a moment?" As the children munched their crackers and juice, Mr. Lim quietly explained what the government officials had told him. Schools across the world were being asked to send their most experienced kindergarten teachers to emergency meetings. "They want to understand why the aliens are specifically afraid of teachers like you," he whispered. Minji looked back at her. Students who were now sharing their snacks and chatting happily among themselves. Little Kim Hansel was helping Park Sumi open her juice box, while Lee Gina was making sure everyone had enough crackers. "I think I might know why," Minji said, quietly. "To them, what we do every day probably looks like magic." 3 days after the alien declaration, the first Galactic Alliance scout ships appeared in Earth's solar system. Their massive forms blocked out stars as they moved past Mars with deadly grace. Each ship was the size of a large city, covered in weapons that could turn mountains into dust. Admiral Park Ji-won stood in the command center of Earth's defense headquarters, watching the enemy fleet approach on dozens of screens. Sweat ran down his face as he counted the ships. The aliens had not been lying. More than 1,000 vessels filled the darkness of space, representing 12 different alien species united in their fear of human kindergarten teachers. "Sir, our entire defense fleet is ready," reported Commander Lee Dong-yoon. 47 ships, including mining vessels, we converted into fighters." Admiral Park almost laughed, but the sound that came out was more like a sob. 47 human ships against 1,000 alien dreadnoughts. It was like bringing paper airplanes to fight helicopters. "Launch all ships anyway," he ordered. "We won't go down without showing them what humanity can do." Meanwhile, in a secure government building in Seoul, Dr. Choi Naeon was working with a team of scientists to decode intercepted alien communications. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "President Kim, you need to see this," she called urgently. President Kim Tae-hyung hurried over to her computer station, followed by several military advisors. On the screen were hundreds of alien reports about human kindergarten teachers, all marked with the highest level of military concern. "They've been studying our teachers for decades," Dr. Choi explained, scrolling through files. "Look at this. Report about teacher Yoon Sung-ho in Busan." The document showed detailed analysis of a simple playground incident. A group of children had been arguing over who could use the swing first. Teacher Yoon had walked over, spoken quietly to the children, and within 30 seconds they had organized themselves into a fair taking turns system. The alien military analysis read, "Human commander deployed unknown psychological warfare technique. 12 hostile subjects immediately ceased combat operations and began cooperative behavior. No weapons observed, no threats detected. Recommend classifying as extremely dangerous mind control ability." Dr. Choi opened another file. "Here's one about teacher Bae Sumin. She was teaching a lesson about cleaning up toys." The video showed 30 kindergarten children scattered around a messy classroom. Toys, books, and art supplies covered every surface. Teacher Bae clapped her hands twice and began singing a cheerful cleanup song. The children immediately joined in, singing along as they quickly organized the entire room. The alien report was even more alarmed. Human leader achieved instantaneous battlefield organization using sonic manipulation technique. 30 chaotic units transformed into efficient cleaning squad in under 10 minutes. Traditional military doctrine suggests this level of command control requires years of training and strict discipline protocols. Humans appear to achieve same. Result with children using only musical sounds and positive reinforcement. Strongly recommend avoiding direct confrontation with these beings. President Kim shook his head in disbelief. "They think our teachers are some kind of super soldiers?" "Not soldiers," Dr. Choi corrected. "Something much worse from their perspective. The aliens come from warrior cultures where order comes from, fear and strength. They cannot understand how humans create cooperation through kindness and patience." She pulled up another document, this one from the Krex Empire. The report analyzed teacher Park Mi-kyung from Incheon, who had successfully managed a classroom birthday party for 6-year-olds. "Watch this," Dr. Choi said, playing the video. 25 excited children, sugar from birthday cake, presents everywhere, and complete chaos building." On screen, Teacher Park calmly announced that it was story time. She sat in her reading chair and opened a colorful book. One by one, the excited children stopped running around and sat on the carpet, drawn by her calm voice and the promise of an interesting tale. The alien analysis was extensive. Human commander utilized advanced crowd control techniques during high-stress celebration scenario. Despite presence of stimulating substances and competing attractions, achieved complete attention and compliance from all subjects within 90 seconds. Method appears to be some form of hypnotic narrative control combined with environmental positioning strategies. Recommend immediate classification as priority threat. More files revealed similar reports from around the world. Teacher Kim Junsu in Daegu, helping 2 crying children resolve a crayon-sharing dispute. Teacher Song Nari in Gwangju getting 18 sleepy children to take afternoon naps simultaneously. Teacher Han So-young in Daejeon teaching conflict resolution through puppet shows. Every normal kindergarten activity had been analyzed by alien military experts as evidence of impossible human abilities. "Look at this summary report," Dr. Choi said, opening a final document. "It's from their high command." The report concluded, "Human kindergarten teachers represent the most sophisticated command and control specialists ever encountered. They demonstrate abilities that exceed our best military leaders in the following areas: crowd management under chaotic conditions, instant conflict resolution without violence, psychological manipulation through positive reinforcement, group coordination using audio-visual techniques, and, most disturbing, the ability to shape developing minds toward cooperative rather than competitive behavior patterns." These beings could potentially transform entire populations into willing servants, without the subjects ever realizing they are being controlled. Immediate military action recommended before this threat can spread beyond Earth. President Kim sat down heavily in a chair. They're not afraid of our weapons or our armies. They're afraid that our way of teaching children might be contagious. Dr. Choi nodded grimly. Every species in the Alliance apparently comes from cultures where power means domination and order requires force. They've never seen leadership that works through inspiration instead of intimidation. Outside, the alien fleet was taking position around Earth. Communication channels crackled with demands for humanity's surrender of all kindergarten teachers. In classrooms around the world, those same teachers were going about their daily routines, completely unaware that they had been classified as the galaxy's most dangerous weapons. They tied shoes, wiped noses, read stories, and helped children learn to share and be kind to each other. Teacher Lee Minji was finishing afternoon activities with her students when Principal Lim approached her again. "The government wants to meet with you," he said quietly. "They think you might be the key to understanding this whole situation." Minji looked around her classroom at 23 happy children playing together peacefully. Kim Hansel was helping. Lee Gina built a tower with blocks. Park Sumi was reading a picture book to her stuffed animal. Choi Minho was carefully coloring inside the lines of a drawing he planned to give his mother. "What exactly do they think I can do?" she asked. "From what I understand," Principal Lim replied, "they want you to explain to the aliens that you're not a weapon of mass destruction. You're just a teacher who cares about children." Minji smiled softly. "Well, when you put it that way, I suppose someone should teach them the difference." The emergency meeting hall in Seoul was packed with Earth's most important people. Military generals sat next to government ministers. Scientists whispered urgently with diplomats. Everyone was trying to solve the same impossible problem. How? Do you negotiate with aliens who think kindergarten teachers are weapons of mass destruction? President Kim Tae-hyung stood at the front of the room, looking tired and worried. "We have less than 60 hours before the alien deadline expires. We need someone to speak with them, to make them understand that our teachers are not dangerous." Applications to be Earth's representative had been flooding in all morning. Admiral Park Jae-won had volunteered, along with dozens of other military officers. Ambassador Choi Sang-woo, Earth's most experienced diplomat, had submitted a formal request. Corporate leaders, university professors, and even famous actors had offered to help save humanity. Dr. Choi Nayeon was reading through the applications when she found one that made her stop completely. "I would like to speak with these aliens." The letter began in careful handwriting. "My name is Lee Minji, and I teach kindergarten at Sunshine Elementary School in Seoul. I have worked with children for 15 years. In that time, I have successfully helped children who spoke different languages learn to play together. I have stopped fights between children who were very angry without anyone getting hurt. I have taught children to share their toys even when they really did not want to. I have helped scared children feel brave and helped mean children learn to be kind." The letter continued. "I understand that these aliens are afraid of what I do every day. Maybe if I show them how normal and peaceful my job really is, they will not be scared anymore. I work with people who do not always listen, who sometimes throw things when they are upset, and who often say no when you ask them to do something. I think these skills might help when talking to angry aliens." Dr. Choi read the letter 3 times before taking it to President Kim. "Sir, I think we should seriously consider this application." President Kim looked at the letter with confusion. "A kindergarten teacher? Dr. Choi, we need our best negotiator, not someone who teaches children how to tie their shoes." "But that's exactly the point," Dr. Choi explained. "The aliens are specifically afraid of kindergarten teachers. Every other diplomat or military officer will just confirm their fears that we're trying to trick them. If we send Teacher Lee, we show them that we're taking their concerns seriously." Admiral Park overheard the conversation and joined them. With all respect to Teacher Lee, this is not a classroom full of 5-year-olds. These are warriors from 12 different species who could destroy our planet with a single command. Dr. Choi handed him the alien intelligence files. Admiral, look at these reports again. They describe Teacher Lee's profession as more terrifying than any weapon they have ever encountered. From their perspective, she is the most dangerous human, alive. Meanwhile, in her quiet classroom, Lee Minji was cleaning up after her students had gone home. She wiped down the small tables, organized the books, and put away the toys. As she worked, she thought about the strange situation Earth was facing. The idea that aliens were afraid of kindergarten teachers seemed silly to her. All she did was help children learn and grow. She taught them to be kind, to solve problems with words instead of fighting, and to work together instead of being selfish. Her phone rang. It was Principal Lim. Teacher Lee, the government wants to interview you tomorrow morning. They're considering your application very seriously. Minji sat down in one of the tiny student chairs. Do you really think I could help? I have watched. You handle some very difficult situations, Principal Lim replied. Remember when little Park Jin-woo was so angry about his parents' divorce that he threw blocks at other children? You helped him feel better and taught him better ways to express his feelings. Or when the new student Kim Yejin arrived from Japan and could not speak Korean, you found ways to help her communicate and make friends. Minji remembered those challenges well. Every day brought new problems to solve, conflicts to resolve, and frightened or angry children who needed patience and understanding. The aliens sound like they are scared and confused, she said thoughtfully. When children are scared, they sometimes act mean or aggressive. Maybe that is what is happening here. The next morning, Minji found herself in a government building facing some of the most powerful people on Earth. President Kim, Admiral Park, Dr. Choi, and dozens of other officials sat around a large table, all looking at her with serious expressions. Teacher Lee, President Kim began, we have read your application. Can you explain why you think you are qualified to negotiate with hostile aliens? Minji straightened her shoulders and spoke clearly. I work every day with people who are still learning how to control their emotions and communicate effectively. Children often say things they do not mean when they are upset. They make threats they cannot carry out. They declare war over toys and announce they hate people they actually love very much. She paused and looked around the room. From what I have seen in the alien reports, they are acting like children who are afraid of something they do not understand. They are making threats because they feel powerless. They want to destroy what scares them because they cannot figure out how it works. Admiral Park leaned forward. But Teacher Lee, these are not children. They are advanced civilizations with weapons that can destroy planets. Yes, Minji agreed. But they are still acting like scared children. The size of someone does not change how fear makes them behave. I have seen tiny 5-year-olds become so frightened that they lash out at everyone around them. Fear makes people do things that seem crazy to others. Dr. Choi was taking notes rapidly. What would you do differently than a traditional diplomat? I would not try to prove they are wrong, Minji answered. When a child is afraid of monsters under the bed, you do not tell them monsters are stupid. You help them look under the bed and see that there is nothing scary there. I would show the aliens what I actually do instead of trying to explain it with words. President Kim exchanged glances with his advisors. Outside the building, alien ships were getting closer to Earth every hour. Time was running out. Teacher Lee, he said finally, if we send you to negotiate with the aliens, you would be risking your life to save our entire planet. Are you prepared for that responsibility? Minji thought about her 23 students back at school. She thought about all the children around the world who deserve to grow up in peace. Mr. President, every day I am responsible for helping children become better people. If I can help these aliens understand that we are not a threat, then maybe all the children on Earth will have a future to grow into. The decision was made. Within 6 hours, teacher Lee Minji was aboard a diplomatic shuttle heading toward the alien fleet. As Earth fell away below her, she opened her teaching bag and checked its contents. Crayons, picture books, Band-Aids, tissue paper, and a small stuffed animal that one of her students had given her for good luck. She was about to have the most important parent-teacher conference in human history. The alien flagship Dominator was the largest thing Lee Minji had ever seen. As her small diplomatic shuttle approached the massive ship, she felt like a tiny ant walking toward a mountain. The ship stretched 15 kilometers from front to back, covered in weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Her shuttle pilot, Captain Yoon Jae-hyun, was sweating nervously as alien tractor beams pulled them into a docking bay. "Teacher Lee, are you sure about this? These beings could kill us both without even thinking about it." Minji adjusted her colorful teaching apron and picked up her bag. "Captain, I have dealt with some very difficult parent conferences. I think I can handle this." The docking bay was enormous and filled with alien warriors from different species. Some looked like giant insects with sharp claws. Others resembled walking crystals with multiple arms. A few appeared to be made of living metal with glowing eyes. 4 different types of alien guards escorted Minji through corridors designed to frighten visitors. The walls were covered in weapons and battle trophies. Scary music played from hidden speakers. Everything was meant to make anyone walking these halls feel small and helpless. But Minji had walked down elementary school hallways during fire drills with screaming children, and she had survived back to school night presentations in front of angry parents. She kept her chin up and walked confidently between her alien escorts. The War Council chamber was even more intimidating than the corridors. Representatives from 12 alien species sat around a huge table that looked like it was made from a single piece of black stone. At the head of the table sat the most frightening creature Minji had ever seen. Supreme Commander Velthar of the Krex Empire had 4 muscular arms, bright red skin, and teeth like knives. His yellow eyes glowed with barely controlled anger as he stared down at the small human woman who dared to enter his war room. "You mock us!" Velthar roared, his voice echoing off the chamber walls. "Earth sends us a kindergarten teacher when we demand surrender. This is an insult that requires immediate punishment." The other alien commanders growled and clicked their agreement. Ambassador Thextar of the Vorthan Empire pointed one of his crystal fingers at Minji. "We know what you are, human. You are the most dangerous of your kind. We will not be fooled by your harmless appearance." Minji set down her teaching bag and looked around the room carefully. She had learned long ago that before you could solve any problem, you had to understand what was really happening. These aliens were not just angry, they were frightened. She recognized the signs immediately, the way they sat with their weapons, close at hand. How they kept looking at each other for support. The loud voices they used to try to sound braver than they felt. She had seen the same behavior from children who were scared of getting a shot at the doctor's office. "My name is Teacher Lee," she said in a calm, clear voice. "I can see that everyone here is very upset. Would you like to tell me what is making you feel so worried?" The entire chamber fell silent. In 12 different alien cultures, no one had ever responded to an angry military commander by asking about their feelings. Commander Velthar's 4 eyes widened with shock. His mouth opened and closed several times without making any sound. In 300 years of military service, no one had ever interrupted him during a threat and lived to tell about it. "We are not upset," growled Ambassador Thextar, trying to recover from his surprise. "We are delivering the terms of your surrender. Your species must abandon all kindergarten programs immediately or face total destruction." "I understand that you are worried about something," Minji replied patiently. "But before we talk about big decisions like that, I think we should use our inside voices and try to understand each other better." She pulled a small chair from her bag and sat down, making herself smaller and less threatening. This was a technique she used with children who were too scared or angry to listen properly. "Now then," she continued, "can someone please explain to me exactly what it is about kindergarten teachers that frightens you so much?" Commander Zekthor of the Gormax Federation, who looked like a giant armored beetle, clicked his mandibles nervously. You want us to explain our military intelligence to you? I would like to understand your concerns, Minji said simply. When people are afraid of something, it usually helps to talk about it. What is it that you think kindergarten teachers do that worries you? For the next hour, something unprecedented in galactic history occurred. Hardened alien warriors, creatures who had conquered dozens of worlds, began nervously explaining their fears to a patient human kindergarten teacher. They told her about the reports they had studied, how teacher Yoon Sung-ho could stop children from fighting with just a look, how teacher Bae Sumin could organize chaotic groups with a simple song, how teachers everywhere seemed to possess impossible abilities to control minds and inspire loyalty. "We have tried to understand your methods," admitted Commander Velthar, his voice quieter now. "Our best scientists have studied your techniques for decades. We cannot explain how you achieve such perfect discipline without weapons or threats. Our warriors trained for years to learn battlefield command," added General Crix of the Stellan Hive. "Your teachers seem to be born with abilities that exceed our greatest military leaders." Minji listened carefully to each concern, nodding and asking gentle questions. Finally, when they had finished explaining their fears, she smiled warmly. "I think I understand the problem now," she said. "You are trying to understand kindergarten teaching by thinking of it as a form of warfare. But that is not what we do at all." She reached into her bag and pulled out a colorful children's book. Every alien in the room tensed, hands moving toward weapons, expecting some kind of attack. "This is one of my favorite teaching tools," Minji explained, holding up the book so everyone could see the bright pictures. "It tells a story about two little animals who are fighting over a toy. Would you like me to show you how it works?" Commander Velthar looked confused. "You want to read us a story?" "Stories are how we help children understand problems and learn better ways to solve them," Minji explained. "This is not mind control or military strategy. It is just a way of teaching that your species might not have discovered yet." She opened the book to the first page and began to read in a warm, engaging voice. She used different voices for each character and made facial expressions that matched the story. Despite themselves, the alien commanders found themselves leaning forward to hear better. The story was about two young creatures who both wanted to play with the same special toy. They fought and argued until they were both too tired and sad to enjoy anything. Then an older, wiser creature showed them how much more fun they could have playing together and taking turns. When Minji finished reading, the war chamber was completely quiet. She looked around at 12 different species of aliens, all staring at her with expressions of wonder and confusion. "Now," she said gently, "what do you think those two little animals learned from their experience?" And for the first time in galactic history, a room full of alien military commanders began discussing the feelings of fictional characters and considering the benefits of cooperation over conflict. The most unusual diplomatic session in galactic history continued for 3 more hours. As the alien commanders began discussing the children's story, Li Minji watched them with the same careful attention she used to observe her students during group activities. Commander Velthar, the fierce red-skinned Krex leader, was the first to speak. "The small creatures in your story should have shared the toy," he said uncertainly, as if the word share was foreign to his language. "That's a wonderful suggestion," Minji replied with genuine enthusiasm. "And how do you think sharing would make both characters feel?" The supreme commander of the Krex Empire, who had destroyed 12 planets and commanded 1,000,000 warriors, found himself seriously considering the emotions of fictional animals. "They would be less angry?" Exactly right. When we share, everyone gets to have fun instead of everyone being unhappy, Minji agreed. Commander Velthar, in your species, how do you usually solve problems when two people want the same thing? Velthar straightened proudly. The stronger one takes it, the weaker one accepts defeat or dies trying to prove their strength. I see. And how does the weaker one feel about that? For the first time in his 300-year military career, Velthar actually thought about how his defeated enemies might feel. They would be angry. They would want revenge. They would wait for a chance to become stronger and take what they wanted. So the problem never really gets solved, Minji observed. It just waits to start again later. Ambassador. Thextar of the Vorthon Empire was listening with growing interest. His crystal-like features reflected the chamber's lights as he processed this new concept. In our society, the collective mind decides all disputes. Individual desires are suppressed for the good of the hive. That sounds very organized, Minji said diplomatically. But what happens to individuals who have different ideas or special needs? Thextar paused, considering a question that had never occurred to him before. They learn to think like everyone else, or they are removed from the collective. So, creativity and individual problem-solving disappear? Yes, but that brings order and efficiency. Minji nodded thoughtfully. I understand why that would appeal to your people. But tell me, when your collective faces a completely new problem that requires a solution no one has tried before, where do the new ideas come from? The chamber fell quiet as 12 species of aliens contemplated a question their cultures had never encouraged them to ask. General Crix of the Stellan Hive spoke next. Her insect-like appearance made her voice sound like clicking and buzzing, but her words were clear. Human teacher, you are suggesting there are ways to solve conflicts that do not require dominance or conformity? I'm not suggesting anything, Minji replied. I'm just showing you what works with children. Let me demonstrate something else. She reached into her bag and pulled out a set of building blocks, the kind her students used every day. The alien. Commanders tensed again, but Minji simply began stacking them on the table. Imagine these blocks are resources that everyone needs, she explained. Food, territory, energy, whatever your species values most. In my classroom, when children want the same blocks, they have several options. She knocked down the tower. Option 1, they can fight over them. Usually this ends with blocks scattered everywhere and no one getting to build anything. She rebuilt the tower. Option 2, the strongest child can take all the blocks. This means only one person gets to be creative while everyone else sits and watches, probably feeling resentful. She knocked it down again and began building 2 smaller towers. Option 3, they can work together. Maybe they build separate projects, sharing the blocks fairly. Or maybe they combine their ideas and build something bigger than either could make alone. Commander Velthar was staring at the blocks intently. But how do you decide who gets which blocks without fighting? We talk about it, Minji said simply. We ask what each person wants to build. We figure out how to help everyone get some of what they need. Sometimes we discover that what looked like competition was actually an opportunity for cooperation. She began building a more complex structure, using blocks of different colors and shapes. For example, if one child wants to build a tall tower and another wants to build a wide castle, they might work together to build a tall castle with wide walls. The aliens watched in fascination as she constructed something that incorporated multiple design elements. But what if they both want to build exactly the same thing? Asked Commander Zekthor. Then we help them find ways to take turns, or we look for more materials, or we help them discover that building together can be more fun than building alone, Minji replied. The goal is not to have winners and losers. The goal is to help everyone learn and grow and enjoy the experience. Dr. Yixmal of the Zeridian Republic, who had been silent until now, leaned forward with her serpentine neck. This philosophy It could work with individuals, but how do you apply it to entire civilizations? To species with different biologies, different needs, different values? Minji smiled. The same way you apply it to a classroom full of children from different families. Some of my students come from homes where they speak Korean, others speak English, Japanese, or Chinese. Some are shy, others are loud. Some learn quickly, others need more time. Some love art, others prefer building things or listening to stories. She gestured around the chamber at the diverse group of alien species. Just like all of you represent different ways of thinking and living. But in my classroom, I've learned that underneath all those differences, children want the same basic things. They want to feel safe, to be understood, to have friends, to learn new things, and to feel proud of what they accomplish. And you believe adult beings want the same things? Asked Ambassador Thextar. I think all intelligent beings probably want those things, Minji replied. The difference is that adults sometimes forget how to ask for what they need in healthy ways. They get scared or frustrated and start making threats instead of explaining their feelings. She looked around the table at 12 species of beings who had traveled across the galaxy to threaten Earth's destruction. I imagine each of your species originally joined this alliance because you wanted to feel safer and stronger. But somewhere along the way, the alliance became about conquering others instead of protecting yourselves. And now you're so focused on eliminating threats that you're threatening peaceful people who were never your enemies at all. Commander Velthar was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was thoughtful rather than aggressive. Teacher Lee, what you are describing, this cooperation, this sharing, this consideration of others' feelings. These concepts are not unknown to us, but we learned long ago that such weakness leads to defeat and death. Is it weakness, though? Minji asked gently. Or is it a different kind of strength? In my classroom, the children who learn to cooperate and help others are usually the happiest and most successful. They have more friends, they accomplish bigger projects, and they spend less time fighting and more time creating. She reached into her bag again and pulled out a small picture that one of her students had drawn. It showed stick figures of different colors holding hands in a circle around a bright yellow sun. This was made by little Kim Hansel after we had a difficult day in class, she explained. Two groups of children had been arguing about playground rules during recess. Everyone was upset and angry, so we sat down together and talked about how arguments make everyone feel sad. She held up the picture so all the aliens could see it. Hansel drew this to show what he learned. He said the different colored people represent children with different ideas, but they can still hold hands and share the same sunny day. Commander Zekthor clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. A child drew this wisdom? Children often understand things that adults make too complicated, Minji replied. They haven't learned yet that differences have to mean conflict. They're willing to try new ways of getting along because they haven't been taught that some ways are impossible. General Crix buzzed quietly for a moment. In our military academies, we teach young warriors that mercy is weakness and trust leads to betrayal. But what if we taught them cooperation instead? What if indeed, Minji agreed. What if instead of training your young people to be better at destroying things, you taught them to be better at building things? What if instead of preparing them for war, you prepared them for friendship? Ambassador Thextar's crystalline form seemed to glow brighter. Our collective consciousness could incorporate these concepts. We could evolve beyond our current limitations. Every species here could evolve beyond their current limitations, Minji said encouragingly. The question is whether you're brave enough to try something completely different. She began packing her materials back into her teaching bag. In my classroom, I tell children that making mistakes is how we learn. The biggest mistake is being too scared to try new things. 6 months after the war that never happened, Lee Minji stood in the most incredible building she had ever seen. The new Galactic Council chamber was a beautiful structure that floated in space between Earth and the alien fleet. It had been designed by architects from 13 different species working together, and it looked like something from a wonderful dream. Large windows showed the stars and planets spinning slowly outside. The walls were covered in artwork created by beings from across the galaxy. Children's drawings from Earth hung next to crystal sculptures from the Vorthon worlds. Krek's battle songs had been turned into peaceful music that played softly in the background. "Ambassador Lee," called Commander Velthar, walking over with what could only be described as excitement. The fierce red warrior who had once threatened to destroy humanity now wore colorful clothing instead of black armor. "You must see what we have accomplished." Minji smiled at the title the aliens had given her. Ambassador Lee, the galaxy's first kindergarten teacher turned diplomatic representative. It still felt strange, but she had learned to accept the honor with grace. "What have you been working on, Commander?" she asked. Velthar led her to a large screen showing video feeds from across the Krek's empire. "We have established our first schools for young Kreks," he said proudly. "Look, they are learning to share building materials just as you taught us." The screen showed young Krek's children, smaller versions of their red-skinned parents, working together to construct elaborate towers. Instead of fighting over the best pieces, they were passing materials to each other and helping smaller children reach high places. "The results are remarkable," Velthar continued. "Violence among young Kreks has decreased by 70%. Creativity has increased beyond anything we thought possible, and most surprising of all, they seem much happier than previous generations." Ambassador Thextar joined them, his crystal form sparkling in the chamber's lights. "The Vorthon Collective has seen similar changes," he reported. "We have begun encouraging individual thought alongside collective cooperation. Our scientists are discovering solutions to problems that stumped us for centuries." Minji felt a warm feeling in her chest, the same satisfaction she experienced when her students mastered a difficult lesson. "I'm so proud of all of you for being willing to try something new." "The changes go far beyond our children's education," said Dr. Yixmal of the Zeridian Republic, slithering up to join the conversation. "Our species have begun sharing technology and resources instead of hoarding them. Planets that were enemies for generations are now working together on joint projects." General Crix clicked her mandibles in the Stellan equivalent of laughter. "My personal favorite development is the Gormax Cultural Exchange Program. Warriors who once conquered other worlds are now teaching alien children about art and music. From our home world." Minji shook her head in amazement. "How did all of this happen so quickly?" "It started with our military leaders," Velthar explained. "After our session with you, we returned to our fleets with new ideas about leadership and problem solving. We began applying your teaching methods to our adult crews." Thextar added, "Instead of ruling through fear and punishment, we tried ruling through understanding and cooperation. The results were so dramatic that our governments demanded to know what had changed. Within 3 months, every species in the former military alliance was requesting human teachers to help them establish new educational systems," Dr. Yixmal continued. "Your Earth has sent over 1,000 kindergarten teachers to worlds across the galaxy." Minji thought about her colleagues who had volunteered for this incredible adventure. Teachers like Park Soyun, who was now helping establish the first schools on the Vorthon homeworld, or Kim Jinsu, who had become famous throughout the Krek's empire for his innovative approaches to conflict resolution. "But the most important change," said a new voice, "is that we are no longer a military alliance focused on conquest. We have become something entirely different." Minji turned to see Supreme Commander Velthar approaching with a document covered in symbols from dozens of different alien languages. "We would like to officially invite humanity to join the Galactic Cooperative of Species," he announced formally. "This new organization is dedicated to education, peaceful exploration, and helping all civilizations reach their full potential through cooperation rather than competition." Minji accepted the document with trembling hands. I, I'm just a kindergarten teacher. Are you sure I'm the right person to receive this on behalf of humanity? Teacher Lee, said Thextar gently, you showed us that the greatest strength is not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to nurture growth. You taught us that true leadership comes from helping others become their best selves, not from forcing them to submit to your will. Commander Zekthor added, in our cultures, we honored those who could defeat enemies. But you showed us something far more valuable, how to turn enemies into friends. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of conquest treaties signed in blood, this was a celebration of friendship signed with colorful markers that reminded everyone of children's art projects. Representatives from all 13 species, including humanity, promised to work together to spread education, understanding, and peaceful cooperation throughout the galaxy. They agreed to share knowledge instead of hoarding secrets, to explore space together instead of fighting over territory, and to help young beings from all species learn the skills they needed to build a better future. As the celebration continued, around her, Minji found a quiet spot by one of the large windows and looked out at the stars. Somewhere among those distant lights were her former students, now grown up and perhaps teaching children of their own. She wondered what they would think if they knew their old teacher had helped change the entire galaxy. Her communication device chimed with a message from Earth. It was a video from her replacement at Sunshine Elementary School, showing her former classroom filled with human and alien children learning together. Little Kim Hansel, now 6 years old, was helping a young Vorthon child learn to write Korean letters. Park Sumi was reading a story to a group that included a small Krex and 2 Zeridian youngsters. The alien children were laughing at the funny voices she made for different characters. Look, Teacher Lee, Kim Hansel said to the camera, we're teaching our new friends how to share and take turns, just like you taught us. Minji wiped tears from her eyes and sent a message back. I'm so proud of all of you for being such wonderful teachers. As she put away her device, Commander Velthar approached her again. Ambassador Lee, we have one more request. What is it, Commander? We would like you to help us establish the first Galactic Academy for teachers. We need to train beings from all species to use your methods. We want to ensure that future generations across the galaxy learn cooperation instead of conflict. Minji looked around the chamber at the representatives of 13 different species, all working together peacefully, all committed to education and understanding. She thought about classrooms full of children from different worlds learning to be friends instead of enemies. I would be honored to help, she said, but I have one condition. Anything, Velthar replied immediately. Minji smiled mischievously. The first rule of the Galactic Academy will be that everyone has to learn how to tie their own shoes, no matter what species you are or how many feet you have. The sound of laughter in 12 different alien languages filled the chamber as the galaxy's newest ambassador prepared to teach the universe's most important lesson, that the best way to create peace is to start with the children. The Endin classrooms. Across the galaxy, young beings of every species now learned that differences were something to celebrate rather than fight over. The war between the Galactic Alliance and humanity had ended not with victory or defeat, but with the discovery that everyone had been fighting the wrong battle all along. The real victory was learning that the universe was big enough for everyone to share.